Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer channel episode. It is Wednesday the 17th of June 2020. Where is this year going? It's been a weird old year. It's that weird kind of thing where it seems to have gone slow, but it also seems to have gone fast. You know, everything's been happening and, none of it terribly too good. But I do have some good news to bring you today. By the way, this is a live chat, so I will be trying to read and answer as many viewer comments as I possibly can that pop up live. If you are watching on catch up, please feel free to leave a message in the comment section below. I know that many of you do head over to the comment section and reply to one another, and I read as many as I possibly can as well. So do leave a message or a comment whether you're live or whether you're watching on catch-up. Also, I want to say a really big thank you to everyone who has become a channel member. Thank you so much. It really does help support the channel. And also, thank you for being a Patreon as well on Patreon. They are completely separate different things, so if you are interested, do feel free to check out the links below. But this video is about the royals going back to work. Now, I say going back to work. They haven't really ever stopped working. All they did was shift from physical in-person engagements where they actually go and visit places on location to more of a virtual role, video calls, telephone calls, Skype, Zoom, all the rest of it, writing letters. That is how the royal family has been conducting their work since March, since lockdown began here in the UK. And of course, the royals have been following all of the government advice, all of the up-to-date government advice. So we'll take a look in a moment at Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, and Charles and Camilla, and of course Princess Anne as well, who actually physically went to do in-person engagements yesterday and of course today as well. So, things are changing. The government advice is constantly being updated. Things have been relaxed a little here in the UK, although, obviously there is a big debate about that. However, things have been relaxed and the royals have been able to start doing their physical engagements again. However, there are lots and lots of changes. They are not royal engagements as we know them to be. So I'm hoping that you watched my previous video to this one where I actually showed the royals going back to work. We also had, the Duchess of Gloucester didn't do an in-person engagement, but she did contact Worth Trust. Do you know why I didn't have that there? I have no idea. Anyway, she visited that charity, and it's one that that shows I have a lot of affinity with, because it kind of matches into my previous employment with disability employment, disability housing and social care. So I thought that was worth mentioning, and although it wasn't a physical engagement, it was a really important one. William visited the King's Lynn Ambulance, and of course he has a big association with ambulances in general. And as part of that visit, he launched with Catherine. Catherine didn't attend physically, but Prince William and Catherine launched Our Front Line, which supports the mental health of key workers and frontline staff. So if you looked at the photographs of Charles and Camilla on their visit, they visited the Gloucestershire Royal Hospital, and everyone was massively social distanced. At the moment in the UK, it is still 2 meters, and you still do not have to wear a mask. So if people were wondering why Charles and Camilla and William or anybody have not been wearing masks, it's because simply that masks have never been the official response from the UK government. We have never had, it's never been mandatory to wear a mask. So all of the royals are sticking stringently to the laws and the regulations and the recommendations that the government are putting out. So there were no handshakes, there were no posies. Everyone kept their distance. Everything was done outside, and you actually saw Prince William. It looked like it was covered, but it was open on both sides. It was classed as the ambulance's outdoor space. So there are different things that are happening to keep people safe. Cynthia, I do believe the Queen and Philip, at the moment, there are no plans to change where they are staying. They are still being kept very, very safe at Windsor Castle. I believe there are no plans at the moment for Philip to return to Wood Farm in Norfolk, or even the Queen to return to Buckingham Palace. They are much safer where they are. However, there is the potential for them to still go to Balmoral. I still think that that probably, the end of July, or sometime in July, maybe round about when it would have been Royal Week in Scotland, I think they could possibly move. However, it could be deemed safer for them to stay in Windsor. At the moment, we don't know, but as soon as I know of any change on the location or the planning for the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, I will of course let you know. Bev says, I like how Camilla said the choreography is different. Yes. She basically meant how we conduct our royal engagements is very different. It looks different. But she did also say that it was very, very nice to still meet people. And she did say, when asked by a reporter about, have you met your grandkids? She said, yes, I have. I've met them, but I haven't got to hug them yet. So she's met them. And I think when she meant grandkids, I don't think she was meaning George, Charlotte, Louis. I think she was meaning her own grandchildren, biological grandchildren, so to speak. She's met them, but she hasn't hugged them. So she's still being very, very safe. Thank you so much to Cynthia, who's donated $1.99. Thank you so much. Mwah, to you. Right, so I am going to go and talk a little bit more now about how these engagements are going to be very, very different. So, no more indoor venues. I briefly spoke about that. All of the venues so far, until government guidance changes, will be outdoor or in some kind of open air space. Gone are the occasions when the royals were met at the entrance and shook hands and were led in and got to meet a lineup. Those days are most definitely gone. Yesterday, Charles and Camilla remained in the grounds of the Gloucestershire Royal Hospital, and like I said, Prince William spoke in the outside area of the King's Lynn Ambulance Station. No more handshakes. Prince Charles has been doing a namaste, a kind of like a prayer greeting, so you may have seen him doing that in the photos, and of course everyone had their places. They were all 2 meters spaced apart, so we need to practice our namastes. No more hands-on activities. Yes, the royals like to do activities. It could be something simple like signing a guest book, where you have to pick up a pen that someone's possibly touched. It could mean, playing with children that you meet. It could mean taking part in a sporting activity. Throwing something, picking something up, trying something on. The royals do often, take part in activities, tasting food at food fairs or events like that. Those are not going to happen for the foreseeable future. Again, no more royal walkabouts at present. Well, not as they were anyway. Normally, crowds are tightly packed. Normally, the royals might stop and shake hands or bend down and speak to children, or disabled people in wheelchairs or that kind of thing. That will not happen anymore. If there is a walkabout, it will be very much how we saw Charles and Camilla do it, where everyone is lined up 2 meters apart and you kind of walk by and talk to people distantly. So yes, no more royal walkabouts as we know it for the foreseeable future. No more posies. I mean, I love the images of the little children giving posies to the female members of the royal family when they visit. Camilla, the Queen, the Duchess of Cambridge have all received posies on visits. They look gorgeous. I bet they smell nice. But that is a little touch which is not going to go ahead anymore. There were no posies for Camilla. So no, there will be no more. Also, shorter visits. Normally, royal visits the length of a royal visit depends on how many is in the schedule for that day, and also where they are in the schedule for that day. Typically, engagements can take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, depending on what there is to do and see. But shorter visits, because there are less activities to do, so it leads on from less activities, will mean that typically, royal visits might be shorter, which means that maybe you can get more in a day. I don't know quite how they're going to. I'm sure Princess Anne will take advantage of that one to try and bump her numbers up. I'm sure she likes to think she's in competition with all the other family members. But no, that is how we are essentially going to see royal engagements, physical in-person engagements change. But I also think that we will be seeing a continuation of the virtual royal family. I still think we're going to be seeing video messages. They are still being put out. The Duchess of Cambridge has recently just released her final hold still video message calling people to submit their entries. You only have less than a day now to submit your entries. And I did have some dates written down. Yes, it closes tomorrow on the 18th of June at 6 p.m. UK time. So you only have that time to submit your entry if you are in the UK. And of course, Hold Still is a project spearheaded by the Duchess of Cambridge to make a photographic kind of like time capsule showcase of there are about 4 different categories, and people can submit entries to show their life in lockdown. It could be from home, it could be about work, it could be one of the 4 categories, and the Duchess will personally handpick 100 of these images, and they will be available online to the public once they have all been compiled. But you only have less than 24 hours now until 6 p.m. tomorrow UK time to get your entry in. So we are still seeing the use of video messages. Camilla also did a video message about flowers. It's National Flowers Week. So there are still video messages going on. The Queen also will continue to do her work virtually. There will be, I don't think, any in-person engagements for the Queen, although she is still doing her work. Her reign is not effectively over, as some would say. Her red boxes keep coming with all the official papers. She still does her weekly audience with the Prime Minister, although via telephone. She is still, sending messages. She wrote a message to Royal Ascot, which I'm sure you saw in my previous video. And of course, that's another thing. There are things happening, or have happened, that we normally would have a royal presence. June the 15th would have been Garter Day. That didn't happen. Royal Ascot Week is now, and there is a kind of virtual Royal Ascot going on. So the actual physical horse racing is going ahead with hardly any attendees. But normally, the one thing we love about the Royal Ascot is that the royal family attend in the carriages. We get to see the outfits. We get to see who is in the carriage procession with the Queen. It's normally an amazing highlight of the royal kind of summer diary before they break for the summer holidays, and that has not happened. But you can still take part in a virtual Royal Ascot. You are being invited to dress up. Zara and Mike Tyndall dressed up and shared their photo online. You can use the hashtags, hashtag styled with thanks, or hashtag hats from home. And if you use those hashtags on social media, dress up, and hopefully people will be able to find your photos and your virtual contribution to Royal Ascot. Right, I'm going to go up and read a few comments before I vanish. Yes, Miriam, we all have to be careful because, it has not gone yet in the world, so we do all have to be very careful, and, only do what you're comfortable doing, I think, is the mantra. You do you, as long as it's within the guidelines that are being put out where you are. Yes, we will all miss out on seeing that pony nibbling the Queen's pony. That was an amazing moment, and I did love it indeed. Mercury says, does anyone else think that the royal family may be okay with doing video Zoom contacts? No security details, media's interest in clothes. I think there'll be a mix. I think going forwards, Charles and Anne and William have shown that, there is no substitute for actually physically meeting people. However, I think the royals will have learned that going forward, you can reach a lot of people by sharing a video message. You can reach a lot of people by doing a video call that is then published. You can reach a lot of people. Charles has been hailed as, the king of Instagram because his views for those particular videos went up. They got more views than what they normally would. So I think, it's going to be a newfound, weapon in the royal family's arsenal to get their message out, to get the message of their charities and patronages across. And I do think we will be seeing definitely more of a mix of the virtual and the physical. Right, I'm going to wrap this video up because I want to keep it fairly succinct. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course also, subscribe to the channel. It really does help. We are now more than 100,000 strong. So, from me in Shropshire, to you all, stay safe and goodbye.